Welcome to the Million Minds Mission and to the Karim Chubin podcast. Today I have Mrs. Natalia Naila, who's based in California. Natalia is a biohacker, a health coach, a life traveler, someone passionate about life and health and optimizing health span and lifespan. Natalia travels throughout the US and throughout the world, and she shares with a lot of passion and humility um, her secrets. I met Natalia in Helsinki at a biohacking summit early July. We immediately connected, maybe by virtue also of my fascination and passion for the Russian language and culture, but also on a human level. And I decided to invite her today because her story is really beautiful and fascinating. Natalia, welcome.
Hi, Karim, and привет.
Yes, hi.
So we speak the same language as well, which is nice.
It is
Yes,
indeed.
it was so cool to meet you at the biohacking summit in Helsinki, and you were representing a really cool company. It was hard to get in to do a session and any other conferences because the line and sign up was so long. So finally, when I met you, you're like, okay, let's go, let's do it. It
Yeah,
was
we should.
cool. Can you explain a little bit about that technology? Just
Of
really
course.
quick. Mm-hmm.
Of course. So first of all, being a naturopath, I use different tools to help my patients and my loved ones, improve their quality of health. A few years ago, I was hit really badly with the Delta form of the COVID, and searching for a way out of that tunnel. My life took me first of all to Moscow and then to the Black Sea, and I discovered something known as interval hypoxic hyperoxic training, which, in to make it very simple, you juxtapose the number of minutes that you pass by the sea with a number of minutes that you pass up in the mountains. So you create through cellular surprise. So in other words, you deprive the cells for a few minutes of oxygen when you're up in the mountains, and then when you come down, you give the body more oxygen. And this cellular surprise creates a shift inside the cells and helps produce more mitochondria. So fast forward 14 sessions down the road, I got my lungs back. I could swim. I got my joie de vivre, and it became a
Wow,
passion.
that's
And then I went to
incredible.
Germany and I discovered more about it. And now I want to spread that knowledge among others around the
Yeah,
world.
I can't wait to actually try and do sessions here in California.
Sorry, I'm going to Miami tomorrow, presenting at a wellness summit. I think I might have mentioned it to you. We'll be exposing, and you can actually do it in California. I have a colleague in LA, Dr. Julia Hunter, a wonderful holistic dermatologist who has in Beverly Hills one device.
Please
So,
hook me
yeah,
up. I'm
I'll
there.
you.
Once a week for sure.
No,
And
no,
I
I'm
just
jealous. You can't go there. You have to come to Miami. Let's continue.
I'm actually coming to Miami end of October to
Wow.
Biohacking World, and I'll be one of the panelists speaking. Are you going to be there?
I wasn't planning to, but maybe I'll come back. I'm going to be a panelist.
Okay, so end of October, so coming over. Well, I didn't share you really quick with you the side effects or the good effect that I had after this session that I did on hypoxic. That night, I couldn't sleep till 4 or 3 a.m. I was so hyper, I was so full of energy. And even though my body wanted to kind of like
Sleep.
my sleep, but my whole energy and my heart and everything was just so up. I was like, oh my God, ready to go.
It actually has one of two effects. Either people want to go to bed earlier, they can go to bed, switch off, and sleep deeper, but they end up
Mm,
waking up earlier, more energized. Or people, on the one hand, know that they should be going to sleep, and yet they're producing more ATP, so they're more alert. They feel on.
wow, it was incredible. I was actually kind of scared for a second. I wasn't sure. Am I
Who is
having some kind of a heart side effects from all
Nicola,
these biohacking things that I've
is that
done
why you
that
is that why
day?
you go to the booth the next day? You didn't speak to me? Is that it? Okay, now I get
Well,
it.
I guess, I don't know. It was so busy, but I
And how long did those effects? I mean, and then a day or two later, were you able
No,
to
no,
sleep?
just that night. Just
Okay.
that night, it was super, my cells were alive, let's put it that way. So alive that I couldn't understand what was happening. Only one time it happened to me when I took accidentally, when I started drinking hydrogen water
Yeah.
pills.
Yes.
And I didn't know that you can only do hydrogen pills in the morning or midday because they'll give you lots of energy. So
Correct.
one day I was like, oh, it's right before I go to sleep. I said, let me have a glass of hydrogen water. And so I put the pill in the water and it sizzles. And as soon as it sizzles down, you have to kind of like gulp because that's the whole
Yeah.
brown gas that you wanted to digest, so the cells start rejuvenating. And somehow the pill was going so slow, and I was impatient, and I was like, let me just, gulp it. I literally took it together with the pill. So I guess the pill went into my body and was like, that night I couldn't sleep. My body was asleep, but my whole cells, I felt like were like electric. They were like buzzing. They were like, I was like almost like I was hooked to the electricity. I've never experienced anything like that. So all the cells and the ATP was rejuvenating and kind of
You had
like,
this with hydrogen, or you had this with IHHT, or with both?
which one?
You had that sense after doing the treatment in Helsinki when we met. You know
Yeah,
what
it
to
was
say.
a little bit different, but kind of the same. Yeah, like where the cells were hyper, it was energized, my heart was beating really hard.
No, it's really intriguing. And you know what happens when you get new mitochondrial? So what happens is you end up not really needing as much food to produce energy. So you're fed differently because
Mhm.
you're
Yep.
doing, yeah. So you essentially, it's not that you go off food. You can remain a foodie as I am, for example, but you realize that we eat too much. So you get a certain distance and you become slightly Japanese about things. Less
Yeah.
is more. So food
And
goes
this,
first.
yeah, this is what I realized. We as a human beings, we are eating too much.
Yeah.
And for us, we don't really need too much food. All we need a little bit of food and certain nutrients to get in
Support.
our body and to get that energy going. Those little bit minerals and vitamins to process our body. That's all we need. So I'm looking at the food as a nutrient base, as that what can I get into my body to feed my good bacteria, to energize my cells. I'm looking at the food only from this point of view, not like indulging, not like having all these, kinds of like sauces and everything. So
Natalia, what struck me in Helsinki, because of my work, I'm like a detective. I'm constantly mapping people. I see defects, which of course are just, irregularities or imbalances. One thing that struck me about you, and I'm going to be very honest about this, is that there was much more of an inside out approach to beauty and thriving, just an outside in, with, cosmetic, a lot of, work being done on the face, which is, people's choice. But in your case, I had a feeling that you had a very, very young energy, and a very sort of, and a beautiful one, which is
thank
definitely
you,
there.
thank you.
And my question I'd like to understand is, how on your life journey did you come to becoming a health coach, and would you are you ready to share some of your secrets that
Yeah,
enable you to
I
thrive
mean, to me youth is number one. That's why I wanted to continue being youthful, as much as natural, glowy, full of energy. And again, it's coming from within. How do we feed our body? What do we do with our cells, mitochondria, gut microbiome, everything, so that way we're fully 100% unstoppable. Our brain is not foggy. It's so funny. I see so many people that now that I'm on the next level, I see so many people even younger who have brain fog, and they're not functioning at their level that needs to be functioned fast. You know what I mean? Thinking fast, doing things like clear. I was like, wow. So my journey started. I mean, I had a really long journey. It takes probably
okay?
an hour to explain it really quick.
This
I
is just the one of a collection,
Yeah, and really quick, I come from Russia. I grew up in Tajikistan.
wow.
Then my dad went into Siberia, and then I went to Moscow, came to United States at a very young age, around
How young were you?
19,
How young?
19 years old.
19.
And yeah, so I've been here quite a long time. Do I want to reveal my age or not?
Which is 22. You've been there about 3 years, no? Yeah, you.
Thank you, thank you. I've been half of my life here. So,
Right.
and my career was always different. I wore different hats in my career. In my 20s, I was in my entertainment. I had really different career, acting, singing, all that fun stuff in Hollywood, travel around the world, perform in Japan. I did really
Oh, as
amazing
a
stuff.
dancer or as a singer? As a singer?
Yeah, as a singer, and I was acting, doing commercials, movies. And then in my 30s, I pivoted and I became a fashion stylist and fashion designer. So I've
Okay.
styled a lot of magazines, celebrities. I've designed two clothing lines. One particular was super successful. I was one of the first creating eco-friendly loungewear from Modal, which is everything is like eco-friendly, natural. So I was always about natural, and working with the nature. So I think it comes from my dad. My dad was the healer, even though he didn't practice that as his job back in the days. It wasn't accessible or acceptable. So he was an engineer, but he did a lot of work, energetic work. He healed a lot of people with his bioenergy. He taught me from the young age how essential oils, herbs, right teas, everything has to be in a proper way to nurture our body and our system. So I've learned that from the younger age. And of course, that instilled in me keeping that, always being in nature, working with the good quality sources. So, and then when I had my daughter in my late 30s, and the fashion career was so depleting. So, like, it was just in that 10 years, I literally depleted my health, and I still looked good. But when I had a pregnancy and I had my daughter in that 2 years, I literally started aging. I so fast. I couldn't believe it. I was
You
like, oh
felt
my
it, you saw it. What were the first signs, if you're ready to share?
well,
You
first
feel
of all, I've had every month I've had major sinus infections, and then just look at my skin, my wrinkles, and I was just didn't have not. It's not like I didn't have energy, but it wasn't the
no,
same
the
as I was Natalia. The same even when I was in my 20s. So literally it took that not even 10 years, 6 years. The hormones were going down. Everything was just going down. At that moment, I took a look at myself, and I'm like, oh my goodness, something has to change. And also my career had to change because I couldn't focus being a mom. I wasn't at home with my daughter first, 6 months or a year. I was working like crazy, and I had nanny, and my ex-husband at that time was being a housewife instead of me being a housewife, right? Focusing first year. And so I literally changed everything. And COVID happened at that time, and I literally had that time pivot everything, and I've done everything first on myself. I went and I've met so many incredible functional doctors, tried to heal myself. I had heavy metals, I have mycotoxins overload, hormones were all over the place. And literally, I just said to myself, I want to learn everything to anti age myself. So that way, when I'm in my 40s, and my 50s, and my 60s, I'm going to look youthful. I'm going to look beautiful, natural, without any work done, and just have this unstoppable energy, which I always have and had, but it was declining. And so now, being in this space for about 8 years, I have to say I am functioning at my best, even better than ever before. My brain, my energy, and I'm full of life. I always been full of life, but right now it's just like,
no, it
oh my God,
definitely.
I literally found my purpose in life, which I love sharing what I've learned through myself first. And now that I can see it's working, I see that it's just like now I can share it, and wanted to like make sure that people, I would be I'm the what I say, the face of preaching what I'm doing.
No problem. So, Natalia, so you went from being an entertainer to working in fashion to becoming a wonderful mom, and then all of a sudden noticing signs of, let's say, disgraceful aging appearing, and realizing you're losing energy, losing that glow, losing that light, and you're becoming suboptimal, which for you is unacceptable. And then you did a sort of, you rethought your life, you redesigned it. You,
Redesigned it. Yep, everything in every level, literally health, life, like every step. Even I moved from place where I lived, and now I can say I'm like the most happiest ever in my life in every situation. I literally had to design step by step and take actions, and did it everything myself.
now, a question,
While
Natalia.
also raising a daughter, being a single mom.
Well, how young is your daughter now?
She's 9. She just turned
Right.
9.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Uh, Then a question here. My experience, having traveled and spent quite a lot of time in Russia, and is that Russians are biohackers at heart. In other words, they're going to trust their bodies, their loved ones, their neighbors more than a white robe. They're going to take information, evaluate it, experience it on themselves, and then draw their own conclusions. And have you always had that in you? In other words, when you became suboptimal and you went and called upon the help and support of practitioners, did you trust one or two practitioners blindly, or were you always
No,
trusting your body?
I
No.
always trusted and I tried everything. I still try everything. Now, of course, I'm more like laser focused. I know what works, what not. But before, I just went out and I hired the best of the best, spent thousands of dollars. I've tried everything on myself first.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's pulling out from everything, even working with the shamans, energetic work, body work, how, like, in every level. So it
Have
wasn't
you
just,
developed this
hey,
gift?
let's focus up.
Sorry, have you developed this gift that your father passed on to you of working? If you're ready to share this in this episode, or we can wait for another episode to this. Are you using your hands as well and energy? Are you working on the energy field?
I'm not. My specialty is my energy shining from within and
Okay.
giving that energy to people by me shining, and they're getting that energy and they're affecting by that. So that's my gift. So either I'm on stage, either I'm speaking to someone, inspiring them through myself. Even my girlfriends are all say, "You are the sun. You are the sunshine." Like, I'm always, shining.
This
So
is a
that's my
this is a
gift, to
message to all
shine
people.
out the world and inspire.
If I start asking silly questions, this is Natalia's impact on me. I just maybe my questions are going to be upside down due to the effect of no. So in other words, people come to you and you shine a certain way, and that energy people empathize with or relate to, and then you create what roadmaps, programs for them. You personalize them, and you bring in different elements that you've tried on yourself.
Right. Yeah. So I have like this kind of like, I believe data is number one. I'd like to see everything. First, we test
Okay.
everything what's happening in your body. And then I have a really amazing protocol based on what needed at that moment for you, for Karim or for Natalia. And so there's no one kind of a system. There's a couple of things, of course. I love my favorites like fasting. I'll teach you how to do fast. And there's different ways for women, for men, so all these tools that I am incorporating for each individual.
How do people approach you? When people approach you, is it upon application? Do you give them a few minutes free of your time to evaluate whether you're going to work with them or not? Or do you accept everyone? Do you receive an intake form? What's your way? Because I
Yeah,
had
so
my way.
I like to do an hour and a half first initial consultation, and it's $350 right now, which is
Okay.
um,
It's a good
uh,
number.
yeah, and in that evaluation, it's not just we're talking about what I can do for you. It's basically I want to evaluate everything. I'll ask you questions about, from the morning you wake up, everything that you do. I want to learn everything about you, what you eat, what you take, how you live your life, everything. And then the last half an hour, I'll give you pinpoints. What can you start changing in your life right now? So that
Action.
will give you actionable steps from what I just saw, how I can change you, or how can you start changing just by little, tweaks at the moment. And then if you would like to continue with me and have actually for 3 months protocol, then it's a 3 months like a kind of, you signing up, it was a package, and then we work with you then the 6 months. And then what I say, me being a fashion stylist, after 6 months, when I see incredible results, I've changed people who lost weight, became younger. Like, I've even transformed people who in their 60s and 70s, they look 15 years younger. You would never think that you can transform like someone who's already aged and they have all kinds of problems and disease and all that stuff, totally transformed their medical records. Their doctors couldn't believe they look amazing. And also I come in after 6 months and restyle your, if you like to restyle your whole wardrobe, your looks. We go shopping, all that stuff. So that's my specialty. But that's like, if you're ready to change 360 degrees and every level. So I take you from one person and I totally give you
Do
this
you,
amazing.
do you do this on your own, or do you have a network? In other
No,
words, a
I
person.
work on my own because I believe it's my energy, it's my. So I don't work with a lot of people. I work with smaller clients because my life is super busy. I started speaking on stage. I have a daughter I have to focus. I biohack my body still 2 hours a day, every day. So I only have literally 4 sessions a week, and I take only clients who are really to change, not the ones who just, hey, give me a quick tip. It's okay, you can have a consultation, I'll give you a quick tip. But I only wanted to work with people who really wanted to change, because then I can make you beautiful, young, and everything, because I put my heart and my energy into it.
I can
And
feel
so
it.
that's like my dad was healing with hands. I heal you the way I put my energy into you and support you and give you that whole perspective and life and health.
That's wonderful. So in other words, you treat about 4 people a week, and then you're constantly using what different combinations of what light therapies, trying new techniques. That's what you call hacking your body.
Yeah, it
And then
depends what the person need at that point. Hmm.
for yourself, do you have like your own internal diary? You sort of like you see what works best, and then you've got a special room in your
For
house where you.
myself,
Yeah.
yeah, my house has a bunch of stuff. It's all scattered around because there's no one room. But
Okay.
like I have my red lights, I have my nano V technology, I have my hydrogen brown gas machine, I have some chair that is, I have a bunch of stuff that I collected, and I'm still collecting. And so, and I
Okay.
have infrared sauna. I just ordered a plunge coming next month.
Cool.
So it's going to be in backyard. My infrared sauna sitting in the garage. So yeah, I'm like, in the morning, I usually don't take anyone till 11 a.m. So the morning is literally mine.
Your temp.
Whatever I got to do to rejuvenate myself first. Then I exercise 4 times a week. And then I take, 2 clients or 1 client a day, and that's it. And then I'm focusing on my daughter after 3 p.m. So my
Is
life
you
is kind of like,
introducing your daughter? Are you introducing your daughter to some of the biohacking world? Is she jumping into
oh
it?
yeah, 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 yeah. She knows about. I started with prolonged fasting about 8 years ago. I've changed more than 600 people on prolonged, and so she was one little girl. She talked about me speaking to about fasting, how fasting will change your life, and this particular fasting prolonged from Dr. Walter Longo. It's a 5-day mimicking fasting. It's like literally changes everything.
Really?
I still do 2, 3 times a year, and I think the benefits are still the way I look, because I think it's also a big part of the prolong the fasting. And so she heard that since she was 3 years old. And even when she was like 3.5, she was at the playground, heard moms talking about oh, I got to lose some weight. She came to them and she's like, oh, you need to talk to my mom. My mom has a perfect diet for you, prolong. And then they're like, well, they came out to me. They're like, your daughter said that you have a special diet. I was like, oh my God. So she's literally listening. She's hearing everything. She's going to grow up being in this space because she sees me doing all the stuff, talking about. And of course, she eats well. And she's been taking certain vitamins and herbal tinctures since she was 2 years old. So she's kind of like in the vibe.
That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. And do you how do you choose your supplement? I mean, have you got practitioners recommending it, or you go into the professional lines, or you take retail lines? How do you would you
No,
listen
now,
to
being in this space, I mean, I go to 2 conferences a
okay,
month now.
month?
I know everybody in this space. I know what is the best. I know where the researchers are. I talked to all the best of the best. So we know what really works and what don't. And I also try everything on myself so that I can recommend and feel if it's really working or not. So I have now very laser point, even though I take still a lot of supplements.
Mhm.
I have about 15 rotation, not every day, but in rotation. So I would
Okay.
do maybe 20 a day, but in rotation would be like this and this and that. So yeah.
And if I may ask, what role do hormones play, bioidentical hormones in your life? Because that's a huge, part of the longevity puzzle. Is it something that rests well in you, or do you try to support them naturally, or do you
Yeah,
combine?
it's everything so far naturally. My hormones are in a great state. I think if you the problem is with people, if they don't eat well for their body, if they don't exercise, if they don't do all these modalities and don't take proper testing and supplementing themselves what you need to do at the moment, then of course your hormones going to be out of control, and you're going to go into premenopause earlier. I see this a lot of girls already in their 40s, early 40s, are going premenopause. I just
Yes.
turned 46, and my hormones and everything, when I test every 6 months, it's in actually perfect condition. I just did the test by Generation Lab. I'm actually working with them, and they're one of the most groundbreaking testings in the world, where they test your 19 organs and for biological age and inflammation. And
Wow.
the test came back, I was 10 years younger in every organ. There was only one thing that we are working right now. It was a little bit higher. It was the heart. But because I have my dad, and his dad passed away from heart attack, so it's my predisposition to
Okay.
be careful and actually making sure that we're going to stay on top of that. So even knowing that, thank God I'm
Knowledge
testing,
is power,
I'm
of course.
knowing all this stuff, so I can actually tap
Action.
in and illuminate whatever it's before becomes a disease. So inflammation is always starts way long when it becomes a disease or cancer. So we need to know where we inflamed, and by testing yourself, that's the only way you're going to know where we're inflamed. And even like when I started 8 7 years ago, I started testing my microbiome. It was pretty bad. It was like 35% good and 75% was, was all over the place. I'm like, oh my God, wow. And so it literally took me, and it's not overnight, it takes years to change and everything. And it took me just this year when I retested my microbiome, and I retested with 4 different tests from different companies, because I'm always now trying to different companies, see which ones are working and which ones are not. And all of them 4 came back at the accurate percent that 85% of my microbiome is at perfect health. That 25%, I just have to, I added another probiotic strain that it needed it, but because of that, my skin is glowing, have no wrinkles,
That's am-
everything is flowing, everything is just clean, and also detoxing yourself from heavy metals, from mycotoxin. But once your gut and brain is all clean, everything becomes
So
unstoppable.
this is really precious and valuable. Natalia's just shared with us something really important. Knowledge is power. Testing early, finding the right test, the right labs, reputable labs, testing early to understand the biological age of each organ, because organs age at a different pace from a biological perspective, and then being able to action to create your own personalized roadmap, and the way Natalia has to be able to glow and flow, as you were
Exactly. Flow and flow.
saying, to glow and flow, and to grow younger. Would you mind sharing again the name of that lab, because that could be really
The one that it's a generation lab.
generous.
I'll send you the link. You can share it, and I can give you my code. It's I
Thank you.
actually interviewed Alina on my podcast. So she's 24 years old, incredible scientist from Berkeley. She also went to Harvard, and this is her second company. But besides just that, you need to test your microbiome. You need to test your food sensitivities. You need to test your minerals and vitamins depletion, and also mycotoxins and heavy metals. Because remember that if you are full of metals and mycotoxins, which we all are,
Yes.
that's when inflammation starts. That's where disease starts. And if you're not clearing yourself from detoxing yourself, and I'll tell you this, it took me 3 4 years to literally, and it's still a battle. I mean, every day we're bombarded with all the stuff. That's why infrared sauna 4 times a week works. That's why other modalities really work to detoxify yourself. And then building your microbiome and building everything else. So data is number one. Find yourself proper functional doctor, a health coach who actually knows and understands how to do the testing and write protocols. That's what I do. And then surround yourself with the best people. That's the only way to thrive.
Natalia, this is so precious. Would you accept clients or people from overseas? People who follow you, maybe from Europe or from other parts of the world, who follow me on this podcast. If they write to you, do you accept? Would you mostly work in America in your time zone?
I
or your
mostly work in America, but why not? I mean, there in Europe, where you guys have now different test labs as well. So as
yeah,
long as we can access certain labs, simple as that, and then everything else is simple protocol, meaning you can
I can
heal
help
yourself
facilitate.
anywhere in the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're welcome. You can
Natalia,
reach me on my
I might
website,
be one of the first.
natalianaila.com. There's a Calendly. You can book for a session, and we can just start from there.
Please send me all this, and we're going to add this to the podcast as well,
Yeah.
so people can know more about you. And I'll be very honored to invite you again to find a little bit more about your daily routine and the secrets you're ready to share.
Exactly. The daily routine, that's the key. You
The
know, you
daily
got to
routine.
stay
And
on top of
what's
it.
very precious for me also is to understand how, because you're very sensitive, you're an empath. That's what I can sense being a practitioner as well. How you protect yourself from other people's energy. In other words, you take fewer people. Maybe you can share some of the secrets that enable you energetically to create that bubble where you're protected, but at the same time you remain open, because that's a very subtle balance. Many of
Yeah,
us.
I believe in people, and there's definitely a lot of people who are vampires. They just want to take, 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 take. They don't really. I'm a really good energy reader. So I guess I've had that from my dad, and I just know when I interview someone, I know if they're ready, if they're going to be easy to work, they will implement everything, or they're going to be hard working with. And I don't want to waste my time. I'm here not for the bucks. I'm here. I already have a fabulous life. I'm here really to change the world, and I get paid to do well what I'm doing because I took almost a decade of knowledge and thousands of dollars myself spending, and now talking to the best of the best, have access to the best of the best. So yeah, so I'm only working with the quality small people who really want to change and
Do
go to
you
the next level.
go to boutique practice? Is beautiful. So we
Exactly.
have a very similar mission. Natalia, thank you very much for being today's guest, and I hope
You're
and look forward to
welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me. I hope we can continue conversation, and I'll see you in Miami.
you'll see me in Miami very
Yeah.
much so.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.